The world of self-help YouTube, self-improvement, mindset, habits, routines, it's a very strange place. We like to focus on the things that we can control, and certainly there is a huge power in this, but it's not foundational. To think of the great ambition that 2020 started with, the great hope, the great promise that so many people had, and the immense challenge that it's turned into. Imagine, if you will, a young man working away, studying for his exams, while his parents live thousands of miles away. Suddenly he receives a call that his mother has developed cancer. In fact, it's late stage and they don't have money for treatment. Suddenly all of his productivity, ambitions, and his great mindset is all for naught. His goals are completely reprioritized. It's not about productivity anymore. It's about being the rock to his family.
And so in this regard, paying attention to your mental toughness and trying to cultivate it further, I think becomes very important. And the words of the person that I want to use for this video, perhaps one of the paragons of mental toughness in the modern world, is David Goggins.
There's a distinct difference between a champion and someone who's just good. I have to find what I haven't given.
He was a man who went from depression, poverty, obesity, someone who took on the disgusting monster that has been and is racism in America. He took those obstacles and refined them into becoming the toughest man alive. As he himself says at the close of his book, Can't Hurt Me, peering into the abyss sent my mind reeling back through the days, weeks, years, like fingers flipping through old files. I found all the best parts and tackled them together into a highlight loop streamed on repeat. I grew up beat down and abused, filtered, uneducated, through a system that rejected me at every turn, until I took ownership and started to change. I was the sum total of the obstacles I'd overcome. Goggins argues that it was rage that built him, but I would actually say it's something else. It's this notion of cultivating an ideal for yourself. Hypothetically, this is a version of you, perhaps in the great multiverse, that is the ideal you. You, not necessarily with better prospects, a better life background, more resources or time or better looks, but just a version of you who lives up to the best of what he or she is capable of doing. And the only way to close that gap between this hypothetical ideal and who you are right now is to clarify what this ideal is, and then to look upon this ideal with emotion regularly. As Joe Rogan once put it, the real way to do it is you've got to write down what the fuck you want and go after it. Write down things you want to improve, write down things you won't tolerate from yourself, write down things you never want to see yourself do again. Essentially, this isn't a principle about taking action, but rather just getting immense clarity. Get immense clarity on who you would like to be, ideally. If self-discipline wasn't a problem, if the temptations of the world weren't a problem, if you could be who you wanted to be, if you could program yourself as your own ideal, what would that ideal look like? Once you know what it is, all you have to do is to look upon it regularly, to feel it with emotion. A strange thing happens when you continuously immerse yourself in your ideal. Even if you don't want to change, you start to. The thoughts that are forcefully cultivated in the mind begin to take root. They cultivate, they eventually harvest. As such, when your mind is rooted with the ideals that you really believe in, you develop the capacity to practice those ideals in all circumstances, even if those circumstances are positive or when things fall apart. When your bank balance falls low, when someone swindles you, when you don't know what to do with your career next, or God forbid, when a loved one gets cancer. That ideal propels you through all facets of life. It carries you. It's your North Star. These ideals demonstrate themselves in all circumstances. You take on the persona of your ideal and it defines you. And for those of us willing to create the ideal and to fight for its existence, to us I say,
आप लखनऊ जाओ और इलाज शुरू करो, पैसे मैं दे दूंगा. बाबा, खुद का खून बहा देंगे ये चलेगा, लेकिन माँ को कुछ नहीं होने देंगे.
ठीक है, इस महीने का डिपॉजिट मैंने भेजा था, आपको मिल गया? हाँ, तो क्या बात है?
of his career.